Hello, how you doing? This is Jay Eldon, and today I wanted to make a video on how to sync up a MPC with Pro Tools, or it could be any other DAW. But in this particular connection, we're going to be using internal virtual MIDI connections. Of course, you can use the same process with external MIDI devices. If you had a device as far as actual cable, MIDI cable to connect to the MPC and then connect to an interface, you could do the same thing. There's a few steps that you have to think of when you go through this process. I'm gonna try to keep the video short. Of course, I may have to edit some things because I'm having to switch camera views, and you're gonna get a full experience. So let's get started. I'm starting with the session that I'm already working on. As you can see here, we have a Pro Tools session, as you can see, and I already have the 2-track within the session. So what I wanted to do is bring in the all the MPC tracks individually without bouncing it, because when I bounce it out, sometimes I'm not getting the results that I want. The files sometimes come up empty, or they're not doing what I want it to do, pretty much. I like to bounce things out where I could see the processing and see if there's any errors or anything that I have to fix. So we're in Pro Tools now. Before you get started, we're gonna go through the process of setting up the connections. Now, just to forewarn you, if you have a keyboard like I have the Novation keyboard, and it has a play button, and I think it's similar to if you had an Arteria MK2 or any other device that has a play button, it sends MIDI data to the MPC. So you most likely want to turn off your keyboard before you get started. Like, I ran into a lot of errors with that, and I'll go into that more detail when we get started. So very first thing, I'm gonna set up the Pro Tools first. Similar to how we set it up on one of my other videos on reasons. We go into setup, and we go into preference, and then we go into synchronization. So what you want to make sure that's checked within the sync is that you have at least transmit play selection. We don't need the receive play selection. It's transmit play selection, right? All the other settings you can keep default, but I'm gonna show you how we could set these frames so everything syncs up. So when you press play, it starts from the beginning of the track instead of it like delaying. But yeah, we'll keep the frames right now. And the second thing you want to do is go into the MIDI and beat clock, and make sure your IAC driver bus 1 is on. As you can see, we already have a delay time. So I'm gonna put this on 0. I'm gonna show you how we can set that delay time as well. So let's just make sure your IAC driver is on. Now, if you are not clear on how to find the IAC driver, this is a feature only in Macs, of course, but you'll find this in the audio. Let's pull it up here. You'll find it in the audio MIDI device setup, as you can see here. And you go into MIDI Studio, and once you're on this page, you want to click on the IAC driver and make sure the device is online. This is going to be your virtual MIDI time code to sync everything up with your MPC and with Pro Tools. So once you have that set up, let's close that out. Now we have the IAC driver, but keep in mind we're going to be working with this offset later on. But for right now, we're going to start right there. Okay, now let's go into the MPC. As I mentioned, we're using a session that I'm already set up with. But what we're going to do, as you can see, I'm using I'm using the MPC Live II. And so what you could do in the Live II, this is a good tutorial to show you how to get into the proper mode. You're going to go to controller mode. And once you're in controller mode, it's going to load up, and now it's going to sync with the computer. So now if we were to look at the computer, as you can see here, we have a direct link. We're now, everything that I do on the MPC is going to affect the screen. So let's see, as you can see, it's playing back. It's doing everything that's there. Okay, once you have that, we could go back into the menu, go to preference, and you're gonna see the screen with all the MIDI devices. And what it looks like what you should see on your screen is this. All right, so first thing you want to do is change, like I talked about the virtual inputs before, but we're gonna use it again. This time I'm using the audio bridge of the Pro Tools audio bridge here. And this is important because we're going to be separating each track of the MPC, and we're going to route that directly into channels into the Pro Tools. So choose the output, and you can have any input, or you could bring another input if you want to continue with the production. But in this case, I have already went through the production somewhat, already set up some tracks, I already set up the song mode. Now I'll show you that now. But first thing first, you want to go into this MIDI sync. And this is similar to what you've seen on your screen. Once you're in MIDI sync, what I did is turn off the IAC driver here. Make sure there's no inputs or outputs, because what ends up happening, it has a loop that ends up happening. It's like a MIDI loop, and it causes crazy glitches. So make sure that's everything's turned off there. And see how this is fine here. It's on track. It's not going to affect anything. All right, I turned this off. I was testing out my keyboard because, like I said, I have my Novation keyboard. It has automatically maps to the MPC, and it sends out MIDI code, and it gets really wonky. So make sure your keyboard is turned off. If you have a keyboard that sends MIDI data, make sure it's turned off because it will mess it up. All right, the next thing you want to do is turn this on, the sync receive. Make sure the MIDI Machine Control MMC is turned on. And then we're going to turn on the MIDI clock. The same process, you could do it on the actual device, as you can see here. But with inside the device, the Ableton start stop the same way, and you'll see the receive MMC. Don't worry about the receive MMC. Actually, I have the receive MMC checked. So just do what I did. Check both of those. To be honest, it's for the control, I believe. I'm not really sure. I have to look exactly what the MMC side of things does, but make sure that you have the MIDI clock on. That's a very important component. Make sure the MIDI clock, make sure it's set to MIDI clock. Let's make sure the MIDI clock is on, and 30 non-stop drop. Make sure that is the MTC frame rate. Okay, once you have that, you have the very first setup. Now, you should have activity. So let's go to Pro Tools, and let's look at what we have here. Okay, so in Pro Tools, let's delete some of these tracks. I'm gonna bring a lot of these back in. So in Pro Tools, what I have the interface, and as you can see, I have set up some channels. So I'm gonna go into the channel so we can see briefly, but let's first press play and see if everything's synced up. So when I press play here, I am seeing movements inside of the MPC. So we got the very first step done. So we're synced up with the virtual cable. But you'll notice now, let's go through this. So let's go back to the MPC, and I'm gonna do a few things here so we can give a view. So I'm pretty efficient with using the MPC. So I'm gonna show you how I will set up these outputs. So what you'll do is go to light. Is go to MIDI channel, and as you can see, I have multiple tracks. Like right now, if I press play, you can see the hi-hat channel. It's going to 13 and 14. Sure if you can see that. Yeah, but it's going to channel 13 and 14 out. Now, to set up these outs and ins is a tutorial within itself, right? But if you're familiar with Fruity Loops or anything, you just know that channels go to certain places. But this 13, 14 that I have here, let's see what it looks like on here. As you can see here, we have one of the hook channels, 13 and 14. I got 15 and 16 here. What we got? This is going to channel 8. I mean, it's 15 and 16 still. Let's see here. What else we got? This is channel 10. It looks like I have a snare going to channel 10. We got... So let's start off with the kick, because the kick is going to help set the timing of the track. So let's go to see where the kick is. So let's go into song mode. Like I lost the camera. Wait, hold on. Let me see if we can. All right, there we go. We're back. We have, so when I go into the song mode, where we go to song mode, I'll show you on the, lost light again. I think we're out of juice. All right, go to song mode. So you go main, click on the song, which is, click on main, let's do it again, menu, song. And what it looks like in, keep on losing my camera. Technical difficulties here a little bit. Let's see if we can pause for a second. All right, we're back at it. All right, so anyways, what I was trying to show you, let's see if we can lift this up here and make it a little easier to see. All right, in song mode, as you can see, I already have a song laid out. So you can see it in the MPC and also in the app version as well. As you can see, let me see if I'm switching. Yeah, in the app version, you can see all the channels where I have sequenced the full track. So all the drums, everything is going in the proper sequence. So now let's go back to Pro Tools. So for one, we know the track for what we saw right now. Just to give you a quick recap, we have all the individual tracks of the instruments, the drums, going to individual mix channels. As you can see here, we probably could bring it out further using this, right? So you can see a few of the tracks are going to individual mix channel. We're only going to work on the kick, the snares, and the hi-hats right now. So just as I build it, I just wanted to show you as I was working on it, the process, right? So as you can see, you probably can't see that. Let me see, let's go back to the MPC. Let's make sure you can see it. Give me 1 second. Okay, so here is the mixer. This is what I was trying to show you. You can see a little bit better now. So you see I have, it looks like the kick, we could test it here. As you can see, it's moving around. This kick is going in the channel 10. And I have channel 11, it looks like, is the snare. So we're gonna work with those two. Then I have the main group muted right now, which is all saying channel 10, which can be a dangerous situation if you don't watch it. You gotta watch how you route your channels, because you may bring in sounds that you don't want. So we got that. And also I want to get the 808. So let's make sure I have the 808 channel correct. And that's right now showing 1516. Let's see here. We got it here. Let's see, let's close this out. So we're going to get the 808. And I'm going to set this up for, so you can see what I'm doing here. So we're going to go, I'm going to set this, the 808 for channel 15. Actually, they have, it looks like I have it as a stereo, which it doesn't necessarily have to be a stereo, but we'll keep it the stereo 15 and 16. You see there. So now we have in channel 15 and 16. So now let's go back to Pro Tools and to set the 15 and 16. All right, we got that. And I have it here, 15 and 16. And we have the kick on channel 16. But it should be on channel 10, right? So let's bring that. Oh, it's on channel 10. Okay. So we got the channel 10. So as you can see, channel 10 is bringing the sound in. Let's see if we got channel, what is this? Channel 11 is the snare. And we got the snare. And the 808 is the last one, but we're gonna have to switch the channel. Let's see here. Go to main. And let me see, where does it come in? 808. And it's on, I'm not getting any 808s yet. Let's see why. But we see it's coming in on the right channel. The kick. We got the perk. Okay, so those are, we'll just start off with those. And let's record that and let's see what happens. So we go in here, Pro Tools, and click record. Record a little bit of it. As you can see, there's a little delay in the beginning, right? Okay, that's enough. So now that we got that, we can see now I have a 2-track of the bounce here, and you can see there's a huge difference of how things are starting. Like the kick starts a little, the 808 starts a little after the kick, but as you can see here, it wasn't supposed to do any of that because, for one, let's do this again. I was in the wrong mode. All right, so let's go back to the song mode, go to menu, song mode, and now let's do it here so we can get the right, make sure we have the right composition. Okay, so you get the point. I'm not going to go through the whole song, of course, but as you can see, now we have the drum is delayed. Like it starts a little sooner. Even the 2-track started a little in an awkward point, but I wanted to emulate that, right? I want to have that exact timing. So the way we'll go about doing that is make sure that you have tab the transient on, go to the kick track, tab to that transient, right? Now there's a key command, but I'm just show you the easy way. Just hold shift and we're going to click to the beginning of the region we want to start at, right? We're going to start here. So it's going to have, let's see here, zoom in a little bit. And as you can see here on the, like you want to change this to samples, and you can see that it's showing 1400 is where it starts. So there's going to be a delay and then 1400. But I may be wrong. So let's go all the way through. This, what is that? 1501. Okay, so that 1501, let's Let's do it so it starts right on the 1, because this 2 track is not starting in the right place. I'm gonna have to move everything over anyways. So let's start it right on the 1. So we see that it's 1501 samples. Let's copy that. And now let's go back to the MIDI beat clock. Find the driver that we're syncing with, and we're gonna type in negative or the minus 501. Now, but also I forgot to mention, or I did mention actually, but we'll look at it to make sure that everything's here. So what I did is go to setup and session and make sure that this time code rate is set to 30 frames drop, similar to what is set up in the MPC. And that will make sure the tempo and everything's locked in properly. And you can have the time code 2 rate 30 drop as well. Once you have that set up, you don't have to really mess around with this stuff here. This is for if you had if you wanted to scrub and change the frames a little more detailed. It's more complex. But anyways, just make sure that is here set properly on in the session setup. Also, here's another thing too. This is more on the recent side of things, right? Is if you were to have the delay compensation for external devices, you can set the MIDI time code, and you find this in the MIDI within the preferences, and then you see the MIDI time code, and you can check those as well. Once we have that set up, now let's do another re-recording, and just to see the difference, right? See what just happened, just that fast. So as you can see, now everything's locked in sync. It starts right at the 1. See how the first kick start even a little bit before, right? It started a little before the 1. It's a little sooner than this take here. Like I said, I have to move this. I actually recorded to this 2 track, like vocals and everything. So I'm gonna have to move everything to lock and sync to the right tempo. But I just wanted to show you how this was done. And of course you could use your creativity and take it to the next level as far as how you want to, bring more tracks in if you wanted to, or you can, put more instruments. If you want to use another external device, everything will be locked and synced. And you could bring it in and you could see what's happening as it's bouncing. Sometimes you may notice like the drums, some of the snares are not hitting properly. So you could go in there and refine it, make sure it's not clipping, and doing little things that you can't do if you just bounced it out at one time. So thank you for looking at this short long tutorial on how to sync the MPC with your Pro Tools session. This can be done with the Logic or Ableton. I'll show you future videos with using Fruity Loops even. You can use this Fruity Loops, Cubase, Ableton. All your DAWs, they have a functionality to sync MIDI, and it's a very similar process. I use as you saw, I'm using the internal MIDI time clocks, but this can also be done with external MIDI devices. So hopefully this has helped you to figure out how to get this set up. It took me some time to figure it out too, but I just wanted to share it with you. Please like and subscribe, and I'm gonna be sure to make some more videos as I go on my educational journey. All right, you have a great day.